Hey everybody, welcome to Gary Talks. After last week's special Christmas episode, we're now back to looking at my annual top 10 list, with this week's episode being dedicated to my top 10 favorite albums of 2025. 2025 was actually a really good year for music. In the past, I've sometimes had to include albums in my top 10 that maybe didn't belong there, but there just wasn't enough good quality new music to fill a best of list. This year, I didn't have that problem. The trouble I had was trying to whittle down all the great albums to just the ones that made the list, but I'm pretty happy with the ones I chose. And we're going to start with number 10, a band that I hadn't even heard of until a couple years ago when a buddy turned me on to them. I've loved everything they've done since I found out about them, with their last album being in my top 10 of that year, and their newest album being number 10 of 2025. White Reaper, Only Slightly Empty. White Reaper swings back in with an album that feels like a victory lap for a band that's always balanced recklessness with precision. Only Slightly Empty is a power pop rocket. Loud, shiny, full of riffs that would have dominated mid-2000s alternative radio, and self-aware enough to wink at the audience while doing it. What makes this album special is the emotional turn beneath all the fuzz. A record about burnout, late 20s limbo, and trying to outrun the version of yourself you've outgrown.
Stop blinking, not to stop blinking. Just close your eyes and stop thinking. Stop blinking, not to stop blinking.
White Reaper gives us choruses that beg to be shouted in crowded venues, and verses that hit way harder than expected. The album is a soundtrack for people who haven't given up on loud guitars, or the idea that rock can still feel fun, meaningful, and defiantly alive. It's not very often that a person would say, this is one of my top 10 albums of a year, and it's a major disappointment. But that's where we are with my number 9 pick of 2025. Only because the past 3 albums that this band made came in as my favorite album of that year. And this album just isn't nearly as good. Ghost, Skeleton.
Your love, bright as the starlight. Oh child, still we can see the black moon over the peace field. Oh child, stay close to me.
With Skeleton, Ghost fully completes their evolution from metal theater troupe to stadium-level storytellers. Tobias Forge builds an album that feels like you're listening to a supernatural Broadway show staged by Iron Maiden and ABBA. Tracks shift from doomy grandeur to near pop elegance, all while threading together lore that Ghost fans will be decoding for years. And vocally, Forge sounds more confident than ever, giving the record a real, haunting, regal presence. Ghost is the rare band that's pushing the genre forward while still delivering pure entertainment, a rock opera in a year begging for ambition. Coming in at number 8, Halloween, Gods and Monsters. The power metal legends prove they still have gas in the tank, and not just gas, but rocket fuel. Giants and Monsters doubles down on the triple vocal attack that made their reunion era so electric. The songwriting is sharp, fast, and full of that classic Halloween optimism wrapped in fantasy grandeur. The guitars are blistering, the melodies soar into the stratosphere, and the production has an epic, widescreen quality that reminds you why Halloween remains the blueprint for so many bands. 3 decades in, they're still writing anthems that can make anyone believe in monsters, heroes, and the power of screaming your heart out. Next up at number 7 is a band that obviously I had heard of because they had a couple really big hits in the 80s. But I didn't really start to love the band until I saw them live a few years ago at a county fair. They blew me away. They were so good and strangely, probably the loudest concert I've ever seen. They had a brand new album coming out this year, and I wasn't expecting much because, a lot of times these older bands release a new album and it's just filler. But not the case with 38 Special and their album Milestone. No one expected 38 Special to return with an album this sharp, this soulful, and this aware of their own legacy. Milestone is exactly what the title suggests. A career marker, a summation, and surprisingly, a vital reinvention. The band blends their southern rock roots with a cleaner, modern production style that highlights songwriting over swagger.
You make so much feel so right. So right.
There's the classic arena-ready DNA, big choruses, road trip riffs, and that unmistakable southern warmth. But the album also explores aging, perseverance, and the cost and reward of staying true to who you are. It's reflective without being dour, confident without being cocky, proving heritage rock can still hit with freshness and fire. A couple episodes back, I did my top 10 songs of 2025, and there will be some crossover as some of my favorite albums had some of my favorite songs on it. And that's the case with the next album. Sick Puppies, Wave the Bull.
You'll get what you deserve. You're gonna crash and burn. And I can't take anymore. 'Cause now I know who you are.
Sick Puppies roar back with their most aggressive and energized record in years. Wave the Bull is a modern alt-metal statement. Punchy, riff-heavy, and loaded with adrenaline. The band taps back into the tension and catharsis that defined their early years, but with a maturity that understands chaos is only powerful when it's controlled. The themes revolve around personal reclamation, refusing to be pushed around, and finding your footing in a world built on noise. Vocally, the performances are raw and commanding, and the rhythm section drives the record like a stampede. This is Sick Puppies rediscovering their edge. They're a band who showed why they used to matter, and why they still do. Apparently, as you'll see later on in the list, I'm a sucker when older bands I used to listen to come out with a brand new album. It has that mix of nostalgia, but also something new and fresh from a voice that you really enjoy. That's what happened with number 5, Good Charlotte, Motel du Cap.
'Cause they liked us better when we weren't together. You said whatever. I was never clever.
Good Charlotte takes their pop-punk roots and filters them through a cinematic, European-influenced lens with Motel du Cap, an album that plays like a soundtrack to a stylish but slightly haunted getaway. It's melodic, moody, and full of emotional storytelling, showing a band that has grown into adulthood without losing their instinct for catchy angst. There's a sophistication to the songwriting here, a willingness to be vulnerable without leaning on old tropes.
I'm a real stepper. I'm a rhyme killer. She's a bad motherfucker, and she just wants to ride with me.
The production is layered and atmospheric, blending guitars with synth and noir pop textures that give the whole record a sense of place. This is Good Charlotte embracing reinvention while honoring the core that made them iconic. My number 4 favorite album of the year is the biggest surprise of the year by far, Hinder, Back to Life. Hinder surprised everyone this year with Back to Life, their most mature and fully realized album. Gone is the post-grunge caricature people expected. In its place is a confident, melodic, hard rock band with something real to say.
Can you pick me up, maybe make me feel crazy, turn me on later tonight? Can you make me wanna fight and tear me down and cry? You make me wanna come back to life.
The songs explore redemption, second chances, and rebuilding after years in the wilderness. The hooks are huge, the vocals strong, and the band sounds revitalized, like they rediscovered why they started making music in the first place. This is a comeback album nobody predicted, but everyone welcomed. You know what I said about Good Charlotte earlier? Well, that's double for the band that came in with the number 3 favorite album of the year, except they weren't a band that I truly loved back in the day. Like Good Charlotte, I was always a fan of. These guys, I was kind of take it or leave it. They had a couple good songs, but their new album blew me away. Yellowcard, Better Days.
Now it's not too late to change everything you wanna change. I hope
Yellowcard delivers their most emotionally resonant album since Ocean Avenue. Better Days is a triumph of melody, catharsis, and the band's signature violin-charged rock. It's a record about renewal, reconciliation, and looking back at the past without getting stuck in it. Musically, it's the perfect blend of anthemic choruses and introspective verses, with production that feels both bright and bittersweet.
just say what you want, say what you want. Take what you want, take what you want. You know I give all I got, give all I got. You still ask for more. All your body's
The band sounds hungry again, energized, connected, and ready to write songs that can soundtrack summers, road trips, and breakups all over again. This is Yellowcard at their absolute best. Emotionally honest, musically ambitious, and overflowing with heart. And now for my top 2 albums of 2025. They were neck and neck, and some days I preferred one album over the other, but finally I had to go track by track, kind of write out, this is what I think of this song, how does it all factor into an album as a whole. And so that's how I came up with my top 2. Coming in at number 2, Sleep Token, Even in Arcadia. Sleep Token doubles down on their boundary-breaking identity with Even in Arcadia, an album that bends genre, mood, and expectation until the whole thing feels like a ritual. Part art rock, part R&B, part metal, and part spiritual experience. The record continues expanding the mythology while delivering their most focused, melodic songwriting yet. The lush production and dynamic arrangements blur the lines between intimate confession and cataclysmic explosion. It's an album you don't just hear, you absorb. Sleep Token remains one of the few bands redefining what heavy, emotional, conceptual music can be. No one sounds like them. No one feels like them. And Arcadia is their boldest work yet. And my number 1 favorite album of the year. You know how there are some bands that will make concept albums? These guys have made a concept career with almost every single album telling this one overarching story. And yeah, I don't really understand a lot of it. It's science fiction, they've done comic books to fill in blanks. It's all really, really cool, but what matters the most is great music, and these guys nailed it this year. My favorite album? Coheed and Cambria, Vaxis Act 3, The Father of Make-Believe. Coheed and Cambria claims the top spot with a grand, operatic, wildly ambitious album that expands the Vaxis arc, while delivering some of the best songwriting of their career. The father of make-believe is everything fans want from Coheed: soaring melodies, huge riffs, massive choruses, and a sci-fi narrative that somehow feels both cosmic and deeply personal. This album is a revelation, a seamless blend of prog spectacle and emotional honesty. The musicianship is immaculate, with arrangements that shift from delicate to thunderous in a heartbeat. Lyrically, it deepens the mythology while exploring identity, parenthood, and the line between creation and illusion. It sits here at number 1 because Coheed didn't just release a great album. They released an event, a reminder that rock can still be grand, weird, imaginative, and powerful. A reminder that a concept album can still take your breath away. Simply put, no band tells stories like Coheed and Cambria, and no album in 2025 hit harder. And those are my 10 favorite albums of the year. If there are some on there you haven't heard, check them out because I love all of these. I highly recommend them all. Be sure and join me next week when I look at my top 10 favorite films of 2025. See you then.
From capes to tapes, Gary's on the case. He's breaking down each scene, every place. On Gary Talks, he's quick with his peculiar wits. From plot twists to the comic strips.